Thanks, guys. Let's move on to the next one. And this gentleman is in a hurry. He's in a hurry because he built a big business, probably at a younger age. Probably want to do that same too for his session. And Sid has been with Tyroo since its inception, and I have a huge respect for that business because it went from a lot of changes. They survived, sustained, grown, and they continue to be a big player here. And while he's going to cover different online business strategies that marketeers and business brands can do dig into his own experience and wisdom that you could probably can share. Okay, Sid, on to you.
Thanks for the intro. Thank you.
And I would certainly read what is written here because it says, Sid is a business at Tyroo Direct and holds over 10 years of experience in setting up and operating the internet as a profitable delivery channel for business, which is very rare.
Yeah.
Okay. He has been part of Tyroo core founding team since its inception. He is primarily responsible for everything that Tyroo stands for. Okay, I don't want to read. Sales, operations, product development, marketing, business development.
I think that's enough. Let's get to some more content.
I know you're in a hurry.
No, I'm not in a hurry. So I had a flight. I got it changed. I said, let's have some more time. Let's be more patient on doing things right. So so I'm taking a morning flight. So thanks very much for the introduction. I'm not in a hurry. My name is Siddharth, not Hari. So again emphasizing on that. And as said, I'm one of the co-founders and CEO for Tyroo. Just to give a little brief about our business, we run a large performance marketplace. We run a performance ad network. Typically, we work with large digital companies. We work with all the internet and e-commerce companies. We work with large brands in helping them acquire customers, helping them acquire transactions. Typically, right now in India, if we really talk about, we map around 42,000 people are having payment gateways. So that is the amount of internet payment gateways or merchants which exist. These ranges from people running small hotels, running small hotel sites to large companies like Snapdeal, Jabot. We work with around 140 of those. We don't work with the 45,000 because we have created a benchmark for ourselves. Purely the way our model is that we work with typically companies who do minimum 200 transactions a day. So you can see that what is the amount of scope which is available. So there are only some odd 140 companies which only do 200 transactions a day. Which might sound very less, but I will cover those analogies. How to really look at business. I read the session agenda. I read the content which others were really talking about. Everyone was talking more from a marketing perspective, and of course, this session is also about marketing, and that's where the fundamentals we're trying to cover. I want you to take things more from a business perspective, because I've been looking at both this e-commerce space for the last 13 years. My first my first interaction with the whole e-commerce ecosystem was back in 2000. That's when the first e-commerce shops like Jaldi.com, first and second.com, the old e-commerce of the world were getting created, and then the .com bubble burst happened. And so I've seen those 3 cycles of e-commerce grow in India, and as a service provider to them, to that ecosystem, or being part of an ecosystem. And I always emphasize on this factor whenever I meet any large company or small company that while it is important to create a business of scale, while it's important to get all the transactions, it's also important to do profit, because end of the day, one creates business to do business. We don't create businesses for for social standings, or we don't create businesses to get tick marks on our resumes. I think so those things are important. We're talking money. E-commerce is like dukandari, it's retail. I think so. That is what my viewpoint is. I wanted to cover that. The format I want to do this session was I want to just share a few learnings, dealing with a couple of large e-commerce companies on what they do. A few questions a lot of the businessmen ask, or a lot of the marketers ask, on how do I get my marketing budget going and so forth. So I'll just cover that, and I want to keep it more as a Q&A format. That I specialize in the paid marketing bit. But we do compete with organic search, with Facebook, with social, with all the media which you talked about. So my expertise is more on the paid media front, and I'll be happy to answer more questions around that. But I'm comfortable even talking more about the free media, that how to maximize 0 rupees to get you more transaction. But that's I'll try to take it from there. So before I start, one question which I had for everyone was that how many people are currently running an e-commerce business in this room, and how many people are planning to get into one over the next 3 or 6 months? Great. So I just wanted to know that, so that one is able to structure thoughts and examples much more suitable to the larger audience. So I'll just start on that. So Before I get into it, e-commerce in India, there's been a lot of excitement around it. We see poster styles of e-commerce everywhere. We see Sachin Bansal Flipkart right there on Forbes magazine, Hindustan Times of India. We hear about Sanjeev Chandani who created a large classified business. We see Deep Kara who created MakeMyTrip.com. So we talk so much about e-commerce. We see the US market. We talk about China. We talk about all those growth stories around us that we can become billionaires by getting into, or millionaires for that matter, getting into the e-commerce industry, and that's what excites and attracts a lot of people to get into e-commerce. But I just wanted to put some facts out, and these facts have been very stable for last 5-10 years for e-commerce in India, and that's a basic which I always talk about, right? That while things happen in Europe, Pinterest happen, there's so much things happening, right? It's all about luxury. India, we still have problem with electricity, water. So e-commerce is fundamentally trying to solve a need. We have to go very down, very basic. It is about accessibility, very, very basic things. So I want to just talk about these three things before we really start that. What are we trying to create? Whatever business we're trying to create, please understand you need to create that business, even your marketing for that business, keeping these three things in mind, which is whatever business we're trying to get into, how can we make it accessible, right? Where is that need? So you're right that I could be creating a jewelry shop, and in Bombay those jewelry shops are across every, right? But then, which means that the need is not there for my business in Bombay. The need for my business may be in a tier 2 city, maybe in a tier 3 city. So accessibility plays a very important role, right? You talk to, I talked to Myntra.com, right? And I'll give an example. And I was talking to Puma. Puma honored Myntra.com. They said that they were the largest organized retailer selling Puma shoes in India. That sounds surprising, right? Why would that be the case? And when I asked Myntra, they're saying that Puma shoes get sold maximum in tier 2 or tier 3 cities. So when you try to connect the dots, right, it starts to make sense. People have aspirations, right? We talk about India, right? India is a growth economy. We are seeing cash circulating in our market, going to tier 2 cities. I was reading an article yesterday in ET which talked about that in a kitty party session in Indore, one of our large jewelers did a sale of around 1.5 crore. So this is true India. That's the potential of India, and that's what e-commerce has to really get into, and that's where the potential really lies. So it's all about accessibility of good. Second is price. We believe it or not, we can talk whatever that I get into places. You've seen that ad, right? Maruti wala jo aata hai na, deta kitna deti hai, right? The mileage is very important. It is fundamental. Yaar ki discount to मांग लो, हक का है वो. India में वो, you see those ads also of the sales tax वाला office का आता है. वो कहते हैं आपका हक है. You should ask कि यार ये जो retail price printed है इसके ऊपर discount मिलता है नहीं मिलता है. So even a government actually teaches us that क्योंकि हमारा culturally we have been value deal seekers. So that's fundamental to us. So let's realize that. Let's not say यार brand बनाएंगे सब तो अच्छी बात है. But सामने customer का need understand, right? Go to basic. Third, very very important, payment terms. इतना बड़ा recession आया US में, right? We recession coming in, eurozone crisis, this and all. Why is India able to survive, right? जितना बड़ा white economy, उतना बड़ा black economy, right? What happens? This all cash, interest का धंधा. What is happening? Credit terms rotation. पैसा कौन कितना घुमा सकता है? So that becomes very important. Yes, Fred.
Good that you said that. Say if my TG is definitely not tier 2. Now, I am still available offline very well.
Sure.
When you said 1.5 crore, I know which brand you're talking about. So, accessibility, if you say, even if I'm available in tier 2.
Sure.
Tier 2 cities.
Yeah, tier 2 cities. How do I price myself? I am a premium brand.
Sure.
So I am available here in offline. So you're saying that if in Mumbai,
Sure.
I'm available offline, and I still might make myself accessible here, it doesn't make sense. Are you saying that?
So what I am saying is this is again that same term which he used, right? 2 plus 2 plus 2 is not equal to 6. So it is the same thing, right? It is a combination. It could be one of the terms, right? It could be accessibility, it could be price, it could be payment term,
So
or it could be all the three.
I mean, or you're saying maybe any of it can match.
What is the product? What is the product of your business?
Fine jewelry, Gitanjali.
Fine, Gitanjali, right? You're in Deepak's team or are you in the Jewel Soup team? Jewel Soup team. Okay. Let's take example of Jewel Soup, right? So Rajiv's team.
I am heading the Gitanjali jewels all over.
Okay. So now, what exactly is the product which you're trying to push to the customer?
Say
Is it precious metal? Is it
No,
gold? Is it silver?
Precious.
Okay, it's a precious metal. And what is an average product cart value?
On an average, it can be 70,000-80,000.
70,000-80,000.
And it might not look very expensive. It
Sure.
might look economical, still priced well because of the carat and everything. So
Fair. 70,000-80,000 product. And who's your appropriate TG for you, according to you?
Mumbai people, say Mumbai, metro people.
Metro people. And how do you feel you can access them online?
Probably do a Facebook marketing or Google ads.
Very, very far away. How can you access them? Where are they available? On internet. These people who can afford. So we have around 40 people in this room, right? How many people are right now comfortable buying jewelry online? Forget price. Great. Oh yeah, I know what you buy. How many people would be comfortable buying an 80,000 product online? Right? This is India's problem. So the challenge in India is that it is not about what people, so it's okay. Pricing plays an important role. Absolutely it does. What you are saying, first of all, what we need to understand, pricing plays an important role where customer can do an apple-to-apple comparison between two products. Right? Where you need not to prove the worth of your product. In case of jewelry, especially, and that's been the challenge for companies like Cara Lane, companies like Bluestone, and I work with all of them. The biggest challenge has been, for that matter, they are not able to create that apple-to-apple comparison. So the major sales, what do happen? Gold coins. What do get solitaires, pendants? Why? Simple. People understand those products. And hence the differentiator again comes down to price. So until unless, whatever segment you are, so you could be in a very premium product segment, right? If your offering is very clear to your consumer, the price will not make a difference. He will discover the price for it. So you may not, so let's say in Mumbai you might be competing with a Parekh jeweler in Vile Parle, right? For that consumer, he's going to say that 80,000 rupee product, he has to be very, very clear, 21 carat, a particular site design is going to cost. I've gone for window shopping. These people can give me quality. You are a brand, you're Gitanjali. That's why I'll come and buy. Right? So that is a differentiator you have created. But again, as I was more trying to cover it from a retail perspective, and this is again one of the things, right? A lot of brands are trying to get into retail. The fundamentals of creating a brand and evoking, you need to do digital advertising. Marketing and advertising is different. So, again, I always ask this people, like, we go to a lot of conferences, part of a lot of panels. I always ask this thing, wherever we go, we always hear about digital marketing. We never hear the term digital advertising. We have made digital marketing an operations medium. Yes, please.
If I may say that exactly what you just said, if
Sure.
in this particular context they get the digital advertising right, then tier 2 can be their biggest market.
Even tier 1 for that matter.
But
it's
even
about
with tier
comfort.
1, the difference is, of course, I'm not denying that. The difference is in tier 1, your consumer has real life alternatives. Tier 2, he does not.
So I was doing a call at 12:30. I had a call, and we do a lot of business in the Southeast Asian market. We started getting into that market a year back. So one of the most important thing, I was talking to a sales guy. He's telling they are running operations in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, all countries, right? I said, boss, don't care about Singapore, right? And I'm talking to the CEO, and my sales guy said, I said, we don't want to work for Singapore. I said 5 million people in Singapore, 4.99 million people on internet. Appropriate amount of digitally activated audience. I said they have shopping malls everywhere. They can do shopping online. E-commerce don't make sense for them.
Exactly.
So that's what Malaysia makes sense. Indonesia makes sense for them. That exactly is the point. So for Gitanjali, right, you need to realize this for a fact that the accessibility is playing a role, not the price. So I'll cover that in other examples.
So you're just saying that even in tier 2 cities, I will have an audience.
Absolutely.
I have a target. Where specifically I need to target.
Absolutely. So, this is, while we are talking about Gitanjali, actually someone, Gitanjali, a year and a half back or 2 years back when they were trying to do the whole online thing, this was one of the questions which was asked by the marketer there. He's a good friend as well. And this is a very typical question which anyone who's setting up an e-commerce company or has started an e-commerce company asks, right? how to identify, and again, as I said, I'm coming from a paid media background, I'm not talking it from an organic background, so there are a lot of free ways, SEO, which is long term, which you have to do. I'm purely trying to answer gentleman's question, why Jabong is there in the top 5, right? But we'll get them there. And again, I'm not talking offline media, but how to rightly identify the budget which you should spend, right? So how to create comparisons. And I wanted to go back to the analogy of the offline world. So when we're setting up an e-commerce company, we're setting up a retail dukaan. So let's understand and realize this fundamentally. We are setting up a dukaan, we are not setting up a brand, right? People are not looking for you that I am XYZ store, people go online, people discover you. So understand this thing very clearly. It is very similar to opening up a shop in a mall. It's very similar to opening up a shop in a market. So there are people who are roaming around in the market. So internet is like this, right? And to give you some stat, Comscore, I was checking Comscore reports that there are 17 million people on internet. They underscore the cyber cafe users, so we say there are around 120 million people. Is there a guess in a room that how many people are e-commerce ready? Do we feel all those 130 million can do online shopping? Would the 70 million, can anyone guess a number?
5%.
So 5% is 6 million. 2%. उससे थोड़ा ज़्यादा. I think अब कम कर देते हैं यार. इंडिया को इतना नहीं यार, इतने VC से इतना सारा पैसा डाला हुआ है. Don't underestimate it all.
When you say e-commerce ready, I think all of you. So e-commerce ready, it's all.
So I will give an analysis. So this again analysis we keep doing every 3 or 6 months to keep discovering what the market is. The definition of e-commerce ready is people who have access to instruments. So when I say instrument, not PC, not internet per se, but access to instrument means the other socio-economic instrument like the payment instruments, right? Accessibility to credit card. While cash on delivery is big in India, but still, those things. There is a affinity. There is a relevance to that. And also we take into consideration. I don't know if you're aware. Which is the largest e-commerce site in India? IRCTC. Bang on. So Indian Railways is the largest e-commerce website in India. They do around 1 lakh transactions a day, I guess. 1.5 lakh transactions a day. They do every day. Monopoly, right? So this is the kind of business I would like to gain. That's an appropriate business. So yeah, so they do around 1.5 lakh. So what we did was that we took all the top 10 e-commerce companies in India, including travels as a segment, and we created a Venn diagram around it to see what is that unique user base which is floating around, right? What we estimate around it that in 2012 there were around 17 million e-commerce ready audiences in India. So a Flipkart is at around 5.5 million unique users for people to just to from an answer perspective. So there are around 17 million e-commerce ready audiences. There are around 22 million people who hold credit cards in India. And another stat, because I was with a bank in the morning, so I can tell you there are 230 million savings accounts in India. So these are a few stats, numbers, if that helps. So again, going back to it, we are trying to open up a retail dukaan, we are trying to open up a retail store. So mathematics on identifying what we can spend has to go down to this simple maths. So this is an example I've taken to every single marketing company, and I've always told them to do this maths, and this is what it makes. E-commerce is a loss-making business? No, it's not a loss-making business. It is a retail business. Retail businesses have a higher gestation period, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, maybe 6 months, depending on the factors like location, the amount of square foot space you're trying to put, in which area are you trying to put, all those fundamentals try to influence the cost, right? So if you go back to an offline store, right, and look at what are the various cost heads which influence if you're setting up a shop. So I took an example of a female apparel store, just one of the examples I took. And we said like, and I just did a quick, so pardon my rate knowledge of the market, I just did a 99-acre search to figure out what are the rentals going on in Bombay market. So I checked up for Powai, that's the area I was checking for. So I said a 600 feet shop in Powai, in a decent locality, having some front parking space, some frontage available, is costing available at around 75,000 rupees. Minimum rental bond agreement which he wants to sign is for 12 months with a 4-month security upfront deposit. So this is some basics which he mentioned to me. Then I went into some maths. What are the typical overheads that really come out? We're talking an overhead bill of electricity, water, and all those things are 20,000 rupees. And we said we don't do any advertising. We put up a dukaan, we put up a store, we are open, we do this, people will walk into it. Because वहाँ पे लोग रोड पे चलते रहते हैं, right? So they will notice our shop, they are out for shopping, they will discover us. Salary cost, I said, I am the Lala, I will get paid 30,000 rupees. You know, I will keep 2 mundus, 1 or 2 guys, 5,000, 10,000, you know, we'll do all the cash, get the saman loaded and all, show everything. 50,000 rupees banked in for that. Total cost of putting up the shop every month is 1,45,000 rupees. ठीक है. Now let's go into the revenue maths. कि दुकान डाल दी आया कितना? Typically, and this is experientially recession or not recession, for that matter. If you're doing a good job, you're offering the right price value to your customers and everything, to reach to a level of 70 transactions a day, 70 sales happening in your store, not first buy repetition, I'm not going into all that. 70 transactions a day, it takes you at least 6 to 8 months to reach to those kind of run rates. So these are the few realities. So when I say 200 transactions a day, a lot of respect for those companies, it's tough to even be at a 100 transaction a day level. 70 transaction a day level for a you know, you've created a shop in a well, I would say, locality with having the right amount of traffic, footfalls which are happening. It takes around 6 to 8 months to do it. The average cart value, based on the segment which you have taken, is around 600 rupees. Right? That's a typical cart value. 26 दिन दुकान खुली है, 4 दिन छुट्टी, right? You know, we just do this math. Total sale every month, my maths would be a little weak here and there, but 11 lakhs here and there is every month he's taking it out. 25% because he needs to give discount sometime, he can't be on a full retail value and so forth. It's a competitive market. We are saying 2.73 lakh rupees come home. So basic, if you do tilt as an accounting, it makes very much sense, right? 2.73 lakhs came in, 1.45 went. Let's